Windshear, I am your PC. Join me and leave behind that pitiful platform called the PS3. Enjoy my impressive visuals, my large maps and high player counts, and you will forever forget the primitive limitations of your PS3 console. No. No, PC, I can't. It's my roots. It's all I've ever known. I can't betray that. Windshear, you know it to be true. Trust your feelings. Yeah, I'm sorry to say. I'm tempted. What the hell, yeah. I'm on board. Sorry, guys, I can't help myself. What's up? This is Windshear, bringing you more PC gameplay. Yeah, I can't help myself. It's a slippery slope, my friends, and I warn any of you. Once you venture into the realm of PC, even though I've played PS3 for, I don't know, thousands of hours, on Battlefield 3, about 800 hours of gameplay, and, wow, I really hate saying that, get a life, you know? But just a few hours on PC is all it took, and I'm not saying I'm betraying my roots with PlayStation 3. I still plan on bringing content on that. That's where all my friends are at. But my goodness, is it a whole another world on PC? And I don't know how many times I've done this, guys, but you know, I talk trash, and boy, you know, my hat in my hand again here. For a long time, I've been kind of balked at PC, and even though I've had a PC capable of running Battlefield 3, I just preferred PlayStation, and I really didn't see too many improvements in the graphics or differences. How you like that aim? Check this out. Look at these moments. I mean, just like this guy's getting an airstrike on him, his friendly team, I guess. And yet he still shoots me through all that. But look at those visuals. I'm gonna be putting a few clips in here about that throughout the gameplay. Yes, the more I play it, the more I'm just like, and then I go back to PS3. I'm like, oh my gosh, the resolution that I'm really turning into a vain, superficial player, I guess. Because when you see the difference, it's just so it's so steep. It's incredible, really. The frame rates, the resolutions, the spectrum of the gameplay. I really do feel like I've been missing out on a lot, and I'm sorry to say it. I didn't get on board earlier with it because this is really the way Battlefield 3 was meant to be played. I really do feel like it's a completely different experience compared to console. And it's not just the visuals, it's obviously the player counts. That's the biggest thing. Look at these situations. Look at these rockets coming from this attack helicopter. Again, I don't know with YouTube if you can really see what I'm seeing here. I'm going to try to render this in a high resolution for you, but I'm sorry, I meant to splice this out, but I'm going to get to that in a moment. You know, I'll try to render this high, but again, it's in terms of limitations on YouTube, you can't quite see it in the means that I can when I'm playing it in terms of the frame rate. I've said this before, YouTube is limited at 30 frames a second. It's limited wherever I upload it at, but there's certainly a dynamic difference in terms of the gameplay. The huge spectrum here, I'm hitting Armored Kill right now, because we all know on console that we really didn't get to participate in what this DLC had to offer. So it's kind of going in curious. Some of your comments on my last video when I was mentioning Team Deathmatch being a meat grinder with 64 players on it. Everybody's like, you got to go in, you got to play Armored Shield, you got to play on a big map, and you got to get in there and enjoy it for what it is. And you guys are right. It's a lot of fun. It seems like every little position is a battle in itself, and it's very rarely do you ever go in position and you actually feel like it's not contested. I don't know how many times on console you can go in position and you'll literally just, you know, put your controller down and just hang out for a few seconds, or go take a leak in the bathroom, come back, and you'll capture the position because nothing happened. That's not the case on PC. Every time you go to objective, most of the time you'll have at least some opposition on there. So you got to keep your wits about you. You got to keep scanning. You got to plan on where you're gonna hang out or camp out for the objective. You got to keep a low profile on PC, because there's one thing I've learned real quick: Big Brother's watching on PC. you really do have the complete spectrum on PC. I mean, you'll be on objective looking for infantry. Next thing you know, a helicopter is shooting you from across the map, or an AC-130 is, or a tank from across the map's got you zoomed in, scoped in, dialed in, or this airburst rocket from artillery across the map. You never know what's going to come down on you, so you're in this constant state of anxiety on PC, because you really do feel like a little ant in a real big battle. At any point in time, a big giant will come over here and squash it in a given moment. So I don't mind it. It's kind of, I mean, it's frustrating at times, but it's also humorous too when you're just like, really? I mean, where did that one come from? So you got to keep on your toes for the most part, but it's just a lot of fun too. I've really enjoyed these huge maps. The destructibility is much more detail. Like, I don't know if you can see that right there, but the particles that burst out from explosions are probably 2- and 3-fold the amount compared to console. And right there, you can see I threw a grenade in there, came up around here, and then I thought I heard somebody else chit-chatting in there. Somebody got revived, so I went up here and investigated. Kind of creep in here, and perfect example how you want to check the corners and slowly creep around. And I was surprised to find out 2 guys that line up perfectly there. And you know something? No teabag. That's correct, guys. I'm waiting off of it. I'm playing with adults now, and I got your comments from them before, so yeah, I take heed to that. I've some professional courtesy on PC. I need to get on board with that too. What the hell is this? Look at this. Albor's Mountain. I've never even seen this before on console. This doesn't even exist. This is like the cave position. Look how many objectives are on this, by the way. I was like, oh man, this is cool. Yeah, get up here, spawn up right at the beginning of the match. I'm like, I've never even seen this. Look at the snow coming down. Again, I don't know if you can see this on YouTube. The snow, you never see that in Battlefield on console, really. If you do, it's just not very noticeable. But I like this cave. This is neat. You're kind of nestled in this objective here, and this is what it looks like from a top-down perspective when I got here at the end of this match. And it's just a full-on adventure. I'm like trying to climb this. I was lost complete situational awareness. I had to pull out the map and be like, where the hell am I right here? I just kept scaling this mountain because I knew I was getting close to this objective, and I came up on the team, and there they all are. Look at this bird's eye advantage. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I got multiple guys here to shoot some RPGs down here, some smalls, and sure enough, get some kills, and it's just fun. You always seem to have support from your team on PC too. That's another thing I'll say. The moment I spot somebody, it's like, well, you can count on that guy dying. 9 times out of 10, somebody's going to shoot somebody if you spot them. So there's much more emphasis on teamwork here. But I just thought this was really neat. That I had no idea that the maps were actually bigger on PC. Here's the other example, me pushing up to the communications center. And up here in the Jeep, vehicle gameplay, you're always getting action in vehicles. Here, pull out in the Jeep. Normally, you just don't get to do this stuff on console. So it's kind of fun to be able to put down guys with this LMG on this Jeep, move on here to the objective, put down some mines. Again, come up with a strategy to take this objective by myself, because a lot of times you are by yourself. That's the one critical aspect I do have about PC, is a lack of communication amongst your random players. But put down some mines here, come up with a strategy, determine how I want to attack this objective. I said, well, you know, I'm a one-man here. Probably want to come around the backside of these rocks, see what's going on, try to give myself some cover. And lucked out there with the mines as I get some kills here, and then find a guy on the mobile artillery here. Kind of harass him a little bit, but those of you that know, I keep mentioning this. I'll try to stop mentioning it here, but the Xbox controller too, I just want to take a moment to explain that. My previous videos, that's what I'm playing with, by the way. That's my interface is with an Xbox controller. Before I mentioned kind of my unfamiliarity with the Xbox controller because I'm a PS3 player. Some of you mentioned you can get PS3 functionality with PC gameplay. You can, however, you have to download some third-party software. It doesn't work that well. I believe it's a Chinese software called like Motion and Joy, and I mean it eventually works. You can get it to recognize it and work. However, then you have to get software to like remap the keys, and let me tell you, there's a lot of commands just in a simple game like Battlefield 3, and it's not very intuitive. It's not very simplistic, and you can never really get the vibration feature work. Anyways, I spent hours and hours. Trust me, if you haven't tried to attempt it, don't try to do it, because I've probably wasted 4 to 5 hours trying to get this. I was really determined, never worked the way I wanted it to. So I finally gave up. Thanks for one of your comments. You guys said, just try the Xbox controller, and I did. Plug and play, instantly recognizes it. So it's pretty intuitive, but initially I said that the Xbox controller, I didn't like it because I always kind of thought it was a really big cumbersome thing, like a dinner plate you hold in your hand. But the more and more I play with it, my initial impressions were it was kind of painful too, pushing down the sprint button all the time. But I'm starting to get the hang of it, kind of like that time when you know, I sat down with my best friend's mother, and she said, "Hold this," and it felt a little foreign at the time, but it didn't take long before it felt natural. I'm just giving you a hard time, guys. That's how I am with the Xbox controller now. It's starting to feel fairly comfortable. I'm starting to kind of get the functionality of it down. I understand now why you have the joysticks where they're at, and I understand. I like that hair trigger firing, so that's pretty good too. But AC-130. Now, this is my favorite vehicle in Battlefield 3. I know a lot of people hate it, but I really enjoy getting in this in Conquest and looking at this broad spectrum. And I like putting this in here too for the footage for you to see the vastness of these maps. But even not having FLIR vision, which I still think this thing needs to have, I can still spot out guys, and I can still find action anywhere on the given map. But what I always observe in this PC gameplay is how much is going on simultaneously. There's always somebody in that mobile artillery shooting on an objective, and they actually do get kills from that, and that looks really cool too. I don't know if you noticed in the beginning of the footage when I showed you that first clip in AC-130, how those rockets in the air look pretty beautiful as they shoot across a battlefield, and just the way everything moves and flows in the gameplay is a lot. It's just a lot better. I'm sorry to say, much more detail. Obviously, I'm not trying to harp on console. Given that it's antiquated hardware, I can't believe it runs as good as it does, and I've certainly enjoyed playing Battlefield 3 on that as well. Now, when it comes to Battlefield 4, that's going to be an iffy one. I really don't know why they're bringing Battlefield 4 to the current generation consoles, or I guess the old consoles is what I should say, the PS3 and Xbox 360. I know in terms of marketing, they're trying to get as much bang for their buck as they can, making it available to a multiple, or just that many more million people, basically. It makes money for them, but whether or not it's good for the franchise, I really don't think it is, because I think you do have to exhaust your resources on producing the game, and you know, it just takes time away from them to perfect it to the next-gen consoles or the PC itself. Also, too, we've mentioned some issues about lost my train of thought. Oh, look at this. What is this, by the way? I'm finding this more and more on the maps. I don't know if you notice that frame rate. It's like that. It's like a plant or something in my face. I don't know if you guys on PC have that problem, but I found that out in a couple maps in games I got in. As soon as I hopped in it or started getting kills, like that thing would pop up. I could never make it go away. It was like some kind of visual glitch. So it's not really making a lot of sense to me. I don't know if it's a hardware issue or what. Chopper gameplay. This is my first time in the chopper. Felt just like it did in PS3, except there was no frame rate issues. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so smooth. Normally when you're on PS3 on Gulf of Oman, I mean, you can barely fly this thing. It's got so many. I mean, the frame rate probably drops down to 10 frames a second, and that's not an exaggeration. It's really frustrating. So. On PC, wow, that makes a whole nother dynamic to the game. It's a lot of fun. But I know it's kind of jumping around here, guys, and I'm just trying to give you a feel for what it is that this has to offer. It's certainly better. There's no question. I think the player abilities, too, the more and more I'm playing it, the more I'm impressed by the abilities of players and vehicles. It is pretty impressive. You just don't have bad guys and vehicles. I've seen guys snipe me across the map in tanks, and that's just not a random shot. I know they're trying to make those shots. So, again, I think you're dealing with a higher level of maturity. In my previous video, I mentioned about the player mentality in terms of putting yourself in a strategic position always gives you the advantage in a game. It's more Battlefield 3 is more about it's more about the thinking of the action as opposed to the performing of the action. It's more often than not, don't get me wrong, it still relies heavily on your actual aiming skills, but more often than not, it's whether or not you position yourself in the map or in an engagement that to give yourself the upper hand that will more often than not give the advantage to the weaker player that has possibly the lower reflex skills or the lower aiming skills, but if they position themselves to outsmart their player more often than not, the game will benefit the people with the better advantage. Now, suppression, you throw that in there, that's kind of the wild card. Some argue that that kind of rewards sloppy aiming. Yeah, I'll agree with you on that too. I think suppression a lot of times, I know for a fact from my experience, you can see them numerous times in my videos, when I'm just spraying and praying and just shooting everywhere around the enemy, but not hitting the enemy. You know, and I'll be the first to say, I think in those engagements, it's kind of ridiculous that I win those engagements as a support class player. But we'll see if that gets tweaked in Battlefield 4. Obviously, I'm looking forward to that. A lot of you asking if I'm going to get it on PlayStation 3. Probably not at this point in time. If it does come out on PlayStation 4, there's no question I'm getting a PlayStation 4. There's no question I'll get it for that. However, I'm not going to get it for PlayStation 3. Pretty much made up my mind on that right now. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. If you're curious about PC, get on board with it. It's a lot of fun. And I'm not giving up on you PS3 guys. I'll still be playing that as well. Thanks for watching.